hold on. Greetings, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you are here. Today's nonsense is in Historic, and we are going to be playing a little bit of Electrostatic Pummeler. That's right. My username is Pummeler, so Pummeler will be pummeling with a little bit of Electrostatic Pummeler. Looking forward to it. We played this deck a little bit on stream. It came in at a 55% win rate over a lot of games, so can't really complain about that too much, but obviously I think there's still a little room for improvement. Looking to see if we can go a little more all in, or maybe it's time to dial it back a little bit less all in, because we are quite all in as it turns out. You'll note, folks, I've kind of divided up our 1-drops, but all of these are 1-drops. So we are we have a very low curve. Mainly 1-drops, a few 2-drops, and then just a couple of 3-drops. That's the whole stinking deck, essentially. You'll also note, hold on just a minute, 16 lands? I mean, sort of. We are also running 4 Vastwood Fortification, so that's like 20. But we're also running 4 Attune with Aether. So we're actually running like 24 lands. And that is because we do want to make sure to hit our land drops at least up to like 4-ish. Because we want to cast the Electrostatic Pummeler on 3, and then the next turn essentially just try to kill our opponent. That's the general idea, right? And in order to do that, a lot of time you want to untap, play a land, have several mana available, so we can like pump spell, protection spell, sort of thing, right? But to get a little more specific, what is it that Electrostatic Pummeler does, for those who maybe have never seen this card in action? Well, when it enters, you get 3 energy counters. You can pay 3 energy counters. Electrostatic Pummeler gets +X/+X, where X is equal to its power. So the general idea is it'll go from 1/1 to a 2/2. No, well, that could happen. That is a viable line. But the general idea, of course, is we're going to try and do a bunch of pump spells, like Scale Up. One of the key reasons we're in Historic, folks, as opposed to Explorer, is Scale Up. Give it a base power and toughness of 6/4. So then when we pay the 3 energy, it becomes a 12/4. That's, or 12, whatever it ends up being, 12/10, or whatever. But then on top of that, we have just some other ways of permanently getting its power and toughness up a little higher. There are 1/1 counters from Vastwood Fortification and Snakeskin Veil. We also have Longtusk Stalker. One of the other reasons, the other primary reason being Tenacious Pup, that we are in Historic instead of Explorer. And Longtusk Stalker, when it enters, you get an energy. When it attacks, you get an energy. And then you can pay 2 energy to give it and another creature in your hand +1/+0 forever, perpetually. So it's a good way of just getting Electrostatic Pummeler's power up a little bit before it comes down. If it can come down as whatever, even just a 2/1, it's essentially doubled its power already one time, and then the next time you go to double it, it's more, right? And just a little bit of doubling, if we've been able to acquire enough energy, is very powerful indeed. And finally, the last reason we're in Historic as opposed to Explorer is Tenacious Pup. When it enters, you get this little ability. The next creature you cast, whenever, doesn't have to be this turn, will get a 1/1 counter, a trample counter, and a vigilance counter. So, of course, if we can put a 1/1 counter on Electrostatic Pummeler, as we just established, it's now doubled its power. Get a trample and a vigilance counter on it means it's now a 2/2 trample vigilance. And, you know, maybe we Highspire Infusion it. From there, it's a 5/5. We get extra energy from Highspire Infusion, plus the energy the Electrostatic Pummeler came with. We know we can double at least one time. Maybe if we've had a Longtusk Stalker or an Attune with Aether or something, we can double it again. So either way, we know it's going to at least 10 power as a Trampler. And if, again, we've had any other energy interactions at all in the game, it's 20 power Trampler, which is typically good enough to win the game, right? So as far as other cards in the deck, Little Servant of the Conduit, primarily here for mana, but its ramp ability, primarily here for energy, but its ramp ability does come up from time to time. The other reason we're kind of doing it this way is our backup plan is energy beats. So we already established the Longtusk Stalker, and it can be strong in this strategy, but also the Longtusk Cub, 2 mana 2/2. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you get 2 energy. And you may pay 2 energy to put a 1/1 counter on Longtusk Cub. So, if your opponent is maybe playing a little bit of a slower game plan and you're worried they might use removal or something, you can just keep crashing them with a 2/2 and stacking up a bunch of energy. Or maybe your opponent's stuck on lands or something, and you hit them, you spend the energy, put 1/1 counters on the Longtusk Cub, and this thing grows pretty quickly. Essentially a 1/1 counter every turn, and again, with Attune with Aethers, and Servant of the Conduits, and Highspire Infusions, even other Electrostatic Pummelers, if we're already on this game plan, can generate quite a bit of energy that can all be pumped into the Longtusk Cub and can beat down with. So, like I say, when we played it on stream, like a 55% win rate, let's see if we can match that. Pretty questionable, honestly, but we have 3 lands with the Vastwood Fortification. We have the Longtusk Stalker and a Longtusk Cub, so okay, that's fine. No Electrostatic Pummeler, kind of a bummer. But Longtusk Stalker to start things off, give us an energy. Uh-oh, opponent goes Leyline of the Void, Xander's Lounge, Haunted Ridge. We're expecting a lot of interaction here, so, you know, it's tempting to just play the really slow game, but, you know, we decide no. The context of this hand means let's grow the Servant of the Conduit. Let's get going wide. Oh, no, they miss a land drop? You don't say. Let's do this thing. Sure enough, we get in, beat down, get a little more energy, up to 3. And let's just commit, man. They missed a land drop. Let's get some power and toughness on the board. BK Splash King scoops them out. Okay, well, you know, you'll have those sometimes, folks. Good aggro plan. It happens. GG, BK Splash King. GG. Yep, looks like we're going to be doing a little bit of mulliganing, but that's okay. We do start on Attune with Aether to get another land drop, so opponent goes to Dragon's Rage Channeler off of a Shocked In Blood Crypt. We're going to go with Servant of the Conduit. Add a little energy. Don't mind if I do. Opponent pops down Phyrexian Tower. Interesting. Gives them the option to sacrifice... Oh, no! They do send it over another Claim the Firstborn, though, which is good. We have a lot of really small creatures. We don't want them taking and then sacrificing our creatures. So our opponent almost certainly looking for a land drop here, which is why they bin the other Claim the Firstborn. Trying to decide how to go about this. Obviously going to be using the Phyrexian Tower to sacrifice our creature. There's, you know, that is going to happen. But I assume there might be decisions to be made in their hand, right? In this case, Neo Citronite may also have just another sacrifice outlet, and they're trying to decide if they want to get rid of the Dragon's Rage Channeler or how best to go about it. In this case, yeah, they do, in fact, spend the Phyrexian Tower, sacrificing the creature and Village Rites to draw some cards. Well, okay, this is not specifically ideal, but Tenacious Pup comes down. We don't have a creature to follow it up, but we're going to pray that we do. Any old creature, honestly, would be good. Longtusk Stalker, Longtusk Cub, obviously Electrostatic Pummeler would be ideal. Opponent does have another Dragon's Rage Channeler, though, and goes Painful Bond. Interesting. Going to be paying some life for those spells. Unfortunately, we have nothing to do, so we just make another land drop. Feels bad. Uh-oh. Dragon's Rage Channeler online. They do pay a little life for it, though. And wait, Roiling Vortex they're paying a little life for as well, down to 16. Yay, the clock is getting real, folks. Please, we need a threat. We need a threat in the worst way. We take one down to 14. Okay. All right. Longtusk Stalker, not our most powerful individual threat, but, you know, that's a threat. We're happy about that. Obviously can't attack with Tenacious Pup because, you know, Dragon's Rage Channelers must attack, but not, you know, not when they have Summoning Sickness, right? So, Bajukabog comes down, exiles our band, no big deal. They crash in for 6, down to 15. Because of that Painful Bond. Whoa, hold on. Sign in Blood. That's going to cost them some life, and even a little more life because they had done the Painful Bond earlier. Math starts happening in my head. Hold on just a minute. I think we've got them here. We just need to dodge removal. So my first thought is they've got to sacrifice a creature with Phyrexian Tower to have black removal, so it's most likely going to be damage-based removal. So we start on Scale Up. Our opponent then uses Roiling Vortex, which tells me they don't have removal, so let's just do it. Let's go all in. Boom, boom, boom. Snakeskin Veil, Longtusk Stalker, use some energy, use some energy. GG. Neocitronite, GG. Thank you, Painful Bond. MVP of this game, Painful Bond. And our opponent's reckless use of their life total. That's okay. We got him. GG, opponent. GG. All right, folks. Here we are up against Marco Garza. And this hand's okay. We have a Servant of Conduit kind of hiding out behind my shoulder there. We attune with Aether to go and grab a Forest. Our opponent going to start on a Frostboil Snarl, revealing Steam Vents. All right, fine. This is fine. We go with the Servant of the Conduit because we don't actually want to put the counters on it. We're really, really hoping we can draw another threat. Man, we don't. All right, is what it is. Crash in for 2. I guess we've got to Tenacious Pup. Tenacious Pup. I mean, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. We are going to attune with Aether to grab another Forest here. We're spending all of this mana because, you know, darn it, we just want to be as mana efficient as possible. We want an opportunity to have one of our big threats come down. We don't draw one. But, you know, looking at the board, I mean, this is 5 damage, right? I mean, our opponent's doing something Jeskai-y. Jeskai-ish. Jeskai adjacent. They go with Prismari Command. Okay, well, all right. That's pretty good. We get to use our Vastwood Fortification and do the ditty. Yep, Prismari Command. Oh, no. It's Spell Reanimate. They've got Velomachus in the bin. Please don't bring it back. All right. You got us. GG, Marco Garza. Admittedly, a little bit of a tilt scoop here. All right, folks, it's Grim Reaper, our next opponent. Going to start on Longtusk Stalker, get a wee bit of energy. Spirebluff Canal in Symmetry Sage. Oh, crud. From when we played this on stream, I know this to be one of our worst matchups, but we do have a really strong start. These Longtusk Stalkers are strong. We generate quite a bit of energy here. Our opponent doesn't quite recognize, I think, that the buff you get on the Longtusk Stalker is a perpetual buff. So I think they were like, oh, we'll make them spend the energy, and then it's gone. Well, yeah. But, like, the creature stays big, right? Oh, ho, interesting. Vastwood Fortification is a good one. We're going to just go ahead, attune with Aether, make a land drop here, get a whole just boatload worth of energy. Opponent allows it through. Briefly debate doing a little more pumping, but we already have Longtusk Cub as a 4-2. So I think we would rather just be able to put counters on it. At this juncture, it definitely looks like Longtusk Cub is going to be our long-term game plan because we have now confirmed it is, in fact, Phoenix, considering our opponent discarded one. Ledger Shredder comes down. This is scary, folks. These Ledger Shredders can really get nasty in a hurry. Well, okay. Oh, no! A second Phoenix in the bin. That's decidedly not ideal. But, you know, we are established. We're doing stuff, right? Making a lot more energy with these Longtusk Stalkers. Our opponent trying to consider how to go about this. Reading Longtusk Cub again. And, okay. Well, if that's the way it's going to be, fine. Let's do this. We're dumping some energy. Briefly debate the Highspire Infusion, Vastwood Fortification stuff as well, but we decide, no, it might be better if they have removal spells to be able to go for kill shot next turn. So we elect not to deploy them now because it wouldn't be lethal, right? We don't have that going for us. Our opponent expressively iterates, finds an opt, among other cards, I'm sure, and initiates Shredding of Ledgers. Yep. Discards another one. Oh boy, they found quite a few of these Ledger Shredders, didn't they? And growing up quickly, one of them a 3/5, the other a 4/6. And of course, in this Phoenix deck, you almost can't miss. They have their last spell required to bring back the Phoni, the Phenoses, the Phoenese. And the opponent chooses to get in with the Phoenixes. And then they're like, well, hold on. They need to kill us quickly because they know the game is going to end soon. They just don't recognize how soon. Oh, boy. Yep. This is exactly what we were hoping for here. I'm trying to make sure to do the math, trying to decide which direction is better to go. Longtusk Stalker makes energy. So, yep, we're going to pump. Yeah, okay, we have to choose. There's only one creature, you know, it is what it is. But then Highspire Infusion. Folks, I'm not very great at math, but 6 minus 6 equals 0. Good game. Grim Reaper, good game. All right, folks, here we are, starting on Chauncey. Mulligan, it was fine, so we end up keeping it. Our opponent goes with, ooh, Allosaurus Shepherd. Oh, boy. Elves can go wide in a hurry, so we have no time to waste. It's Attune with Aether time. Trying to decide if we're just supposed to Attune with Aether again or Tenacious P. We go with Tenacious P. And Longtusk Stalker, we briefly debate using the energy to buff the Electrostatic Pummeler. But given the context of our hand, we would rather just save that energy for Electrostatic Pummeler's pumping. And we know they're going to have power and toughness on the board. Elves is very proficient at putting power and toughness on board, right? Tenacious P counters go on Electrostatic Pummeler. We don't do any attacking here because, of course, the Dwendsley can just eat the Longtusk Stalker. That's not the life we're about here. We would rather hold on. We're up to 7 energy. 2 more with Attune with Aether means we are going to be able to double the power and toughness of Electrostatic Pummeler. So, combat, Longtusk Stalker, Tenacious Pup, Electrostatic Pummeler. The others, of course, just running interference here. And the opponent says, okay, do you got it? Oh, boy. Do we got it, folks. Electrostatic Pummeler. Pummels. Pummelate. It's pummelacious. 112. 112? I'll take it. All right, folks, here we are up against Spike 32. Good luck, Spike 32. We do have to take a mulligan. It's okay. We send back the send back a land. Go with Longtusk Stalker for an energy there. Trying to decide how to go about it. Yeah, okay, this is fine. Longtusk Cub comes down. No, not gonna spend the energy just yet. Going to hold on. See what our opponent's playing. Oh, it's Grixis. Interesting. All right, so we do decide Tenacious Pup would be good here. Instead of the Longtusk Cub, we will Longtusk Stalker to grow the Longtusk Cub a wee bit. This is mainly about insulating ourselves against board sweepers and things. Okay. Graveyard Trespasser, eh? Interesting. Well, combat. Let's do this thing. Get in there. Opponent trying to decide how to go about this. Pops the Graveyard Trespasser in front of the Longtusk Stalker. This is a guaranteed trade. I'll give you that, opponent. Yep. Try and decide if we want to put the 1/1 counters on the Longtusk Stalker or the Longtusk Cub or not. We elect to just go with Tenacious P and leave up Snakeskin Veil here. Really wishing we had had a land. Oh, crud. Now decisions are made, folks, and I decide, you know what? Forget all of this protection stuff. We don't care about any of that nonsense. It's time to just beat down. So Highspire Infusion going to give us a little more energy and go in at our opponent's face with the Tenacious Ps. We've been holding back this Longtusk Cub because we've been expecting, you know, board sweepers, things like that, and they have not materialized. So opponent goes with Nicobolas Dragon God, does kill our Longtusk Cub, but folks, we haven't had to worry about dumping energy into it. So we still have a wealth of energy just waiting for this next Longtusk Cub to meet the battlefield. Longtusk Cub number 2 with the Trample and Vigilant counters on it meets a sticky end to Nicobolas Dragon God, but folks, math says Lair of the Hydra coming in clutch. So 2 + 2 + 1 = 5. GG, Spike. GG. All right, folks, we are back. We are back. And man, we had a great time. Admittedly, we had a really hard time drawing our Electrostatic Pummeler this set of games. I played quite a few and just, I don't know, we didn't quite draw it often enough, but we at least got to show off the backup plan several times, and we did get to show off the Pummeler a time or two there as well, so kind of okay. But I think we also were able to showcase why I would like your input on this deck, and I do think Servant of the Conduit is easily the weakest card in the deck, easily. We don't really need its ramping too often. It does produce some energy, which is nice, but it just fits really awkwardly in the deck. So obviously, the old version of Pummeler was a red-green Pummeler list, right? It's fine. But you're giving up some consistency in favor of power. It is true, a lot of those lists ran Bristling Hydra as well, and it is a very strong card. But we lose some of the low-to-the-ground-ness of this deck by going up to 4. Is that worth it? Maybe. Maybe. I played with some viewer decks, and there was somebody who submitted a list that actually had Halana Elena as well in a red-green list. So they went up to Bristling Hydra, Halana and Elena. They may have even actually had a 5-drop or 2 in there as well, but, you know, definitely more mid-rangey. But the creatures were big. Halana Elena just produces massive threats, so it still could be worth it, folks. I would really love to see what you folks do with this deck, and, you know, let me know. Like, do you feel like it's worth it to stay in mono green, even kind of having to deck a little bit of an underwhelming creature in favor of consistency and being able to stay really low to the ground? Or is it better to just go to the red and green version and really gain some of the more powerful energy-related cards, things like that as well? Because you also gain Voltaic Brawler, which, you know, as comparing two drops, Voltaic Brawler, much better. So really be really interested to see where you folks come up with that. And definitely let me know down in the comments below should you choose to make those changes. I also want to let you all know I am really trying to get up towards that 1,000 subscriber mark. They don't allow any monetization on the channel whatsoever up until that point. So that means any ads you watch on my channel, I have absolutely no zero control over, and I get absolutely no compensation for them either, you know, or anything like that. So serious bummer. If you were watching this and you were like, man, I just want to do a good deed for the day, and you drop the subscribe button, I really appreciate you. I do a lot of nonsense here, so maybe you might be interested in the Twitch channel as well, because that is my main platform, is over there on Twitch. So come on over and see us. I think you'd enjoy it, and we would love to have you. So without further ado, you folks have a fantastic day.